My name is Nash Mackey and I'm so grateful to have your company. Our guest today is Mitch McPherson. He's the founder of Speak Up Stay ChatTY, which is a suicide prevention organisation that is having a truly phenomenal impact. Mitch was named Young Australia of the Year in 2017 for Tasmania, and we're both fellow Tasmanian lads, so we got to do this interview in person, which was really special. Before we started recording this interview, we both set an intention that together we would create something that people could use as a reference to come back to, and they could use it, the information we share, to actually overcome the adversities that they face in life. So we wanted to create something that was very usable and practical for people, as I hope to do with all my content, and Mitch really delivered. So he's an incredible story. So without further ado, let's get into today's interview. What I really admire about you, mate, is how you've been able to use such difficulty from your past to actually go out and have such a positive impact in the lives of so many people. So you have an incredible story, and I'd just love for you to share with us a little bit about the journey you've been on so far.
Yeah, well, great to be here, and life has certainly changed a lot over the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
5 more so since actually working and jumping headfirst into this space. I was a glazier by trade 6 years ago. I was working as a glazier. I did a 4-year apprenticeship and glazed for about 7.5 years, and I didn't like it. I love my boss and his wife, and they were and still are really good friends and mentors of mine. I love my colleagues. We all played footy and had a lot of stuff in common, but glazing wasn't for me. I mean, I was good at it, and I certainly learnt a lot of communication and organisational skills that I've carried into what I'm doing now, but I didn't like it. Like glazing, I dread it. I'd work 8 to 4. I'd think,
one of the
drive home and think, oh God, I have to go back again tomorrow. So I think that sums up that I just didn't have any real direction or purpose in life, if you like. And I was one of those people that struggled to ever sit down and think, let's make life more meaningful and fine. I just was happy to go with the flow and play sport and drink beers on the weekend and muck around with my mates and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and things like that. But at the start of 2013, I recall my last week of my holidays was pretty much just worrying about going back to work. I always used to take a break over Christmas, and my biggest trouble in life was just thinking, can't believe I have to go back to work. Isolated myself a lot in my room. Didn't get out and enjoy life like I usually would have, just purely in a bad mindset of worrying about work.
Interesting.
But I went off on the 14th of Jan 2013, went off to work, had a normal day back at work, and then sadly that night got the call that my little brother Ty had taken his own life, and certainly changed life for all the wrong reasons to start with. When you're impacted by suicide, we didn't really know anyone close that had been impacted, so we didn't know how it would make us feel, and it certainly turned worlds upside down and affected a lot of relationships, still has, still does, still will forever. Ty was my best mate, someone who I loved the most, someone who I spent more time with than a lot of other people, and losing him was clearly tragic and was a really difficult time for all of us. But after a while we started to drop our ignorance and realised that Ty actually wasn't okay. People were asking us in those next few weeks and months, was he struggling? Did you see he was battling? And we'd say no. He was happy. He was 18. He would smile. He would laugh. No reason to believe he was struggling. But after a while, we realised what mental health is, what depression is, and looking back, we soon realised that he was struggling. A lot of grief went on, and jumped forward. I started a car sticker to create a bit of awareness, pay tribute to my little brother, the Stay ChatTY sticker. Moved forward 5 years. I've now worked full-time in this space now as a really positive advocate for it in the space. Tassie, Stay ChatTY is a really well-known organisation in Tasmania. Awareness programs, all those sorts of things. So, from a really tragic event, I found purpose, which is something I like to portray to others. To you don't have to lose someone in life to find your purpose, but get off your ass a bit earlier and get out there. And I should have known I was good at public speaking. I was good at networking and all those things. So if I'd found that earlier, I could have been out doing something much more positive than what my glazing was bringing me every day.
Wow. It's incredible the way you've been able to transition from that. It's easy to look at where you are now, mate, and all you've accomplished. But if you can, for anyone out there who's actually going through a really difficult time in their life right now, can you share with us some advice around what you actually did in those early days to start transitioning on from that time? Like, those early days are so crucial. Can you fill us in on what you actually did personally to transition and start picking yourself back up? Because that's the most difficult time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've learned that there's a difference between, depression and anxiety and ill mental health and grief. They're two different things. You don't see that at the time. You feel sad and you feel miserable and irritable, and straight away you could think, well, I've got ill mental health issues. But that wasn't the case for me. I certainly felt grief really strongly, and a lot of guilt. Guilt is an emotion you feel when you're touched by suicide. I certainly portray now to everyone that it's never anyone else's fault when somebody takes their own life, but impacted directly, it's really hard to cop that at the start. People telling me, this isn't your fault, but right, he was my brother, he was someone who I loved, and he loved me. I should have been there for him. So it was really difficult, and a lot of dark days and a lot of sad days. But my advice, there's two ends of the scale for that. If someone out there is struggling with ill mental health, one of the biggest things we mention at our organisation, what I'm really passionate about, is to have conversations. Conversations matter, and each day we're going to wake up feeling different. We travel up and down the spectrum of positive and good and bad mental health. Yes. But I always urge people, when you're having that rough and that off day, to fight through it and have a chat with someone. It will absolutely benefit you, and it will benefit the mental health of the person that you engage with. All I can do, though, is talk about my grief and sadness and how I got through that. And I just surrounded myself with people. I went and Mum organised me to go and see a counsellor. I did it once. It was good. The guy was great. But what I found after that more beneficial was to just talk to my friends and my partner and my family. They knew my little brother. They understood the pain I was experiencing. But definitely to talk. I mean, you're right. You said it a moment ago. I could have just locked myself away in my room and pushed people away, but only all that would have done was push me south. And,
absolutely.
I think that by surrounding myself with the people I love and trying to remain as positive as possible allowed me to find the strength to get off my bum, and eventually 6 months later turn it around to be the positive that it is today.
6 months, that was a quick spring back.
Yeah, well, it was about 6 months after we lost him when I just started the car sticker, the Speak Up Stay ChatTY sticker, thinking, we could just pop this on cars, pay tribute to my little brother. To be honest, the main reason for it wasn't really to create awareness to mental health. I knew that it would, but the main reason was to just, for us as a family to see it, crack a smile, have a laugh, think of Ty as a happy guy. And but it just grew from there. The awareness grew, my passion grew. Random people saying, this awareness that you're creating is helping us. It's helped us. It's reminded us that it's important to have conversations with our family. So that obviously makes you really passionate when you see that you're getting some results and that people are making a difference to their lives because of you.
Yeah, that's excellent. And so talk me through, well, just going back to what you said first, so the key point I got there was surround yourself with the right people and be open to have the conversations. Yeah. Is that essentially it in a nutshell?
Yeah, pretty much. And being open to conversations, as I said, so the two really important things when having conversations are being able to open up honestly, but also to listen as well. And I was really lucky that my friends and my family were obviously experiencing the pain as well, but they realised the importance of listening as well, and not always just getting off our chest. We as humans, if someone comes to us with some troubles, we will quite often compare them to our own issues, and we will, that's no good. Yeah, I went through that as well some time ago. That is not the right way to treat that. By all means, after you've had that chat with someone, go and find someone else that you can vent to. But if someone ever comes to you with some troubles, it's so important just to focus on their troubles and not to, compare them to yours or give them your 5 cents of your troubles, just to sit and listen. And for me, I picked the right people who I spoke with. People understood that I just needed to probably just to cry or to tell stories about my brother, to talk about the guilt I was feeling, and getting it out of my system is what helped me sleep better at night. Yeah.
That's so powerful. And on that topic of guilt, because like you said, that's a big thing around, or can be a big thing around these sort of situations. How do you actually manage the guilt?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, and I can honestly hand on heart say that even 5, nearly 6 years on, I still feel an element of guilt.
Okay,
I'll never be 100% hands-free, think my little brother took his life and that is absolutely nothing to do with me, or I couldn't. I mean, I know I could have. I strongly feel that if I knew what I know about mental health now, if I went back to those, there were moments in the last couple of weeks where I saw him not okay and he wasn't himself, but I was ignorant, I didn't know, so I left it there and I didn't act on that. But I strongly feel if I was 7, 8 years older than him, I should have known better. I should have known how crucial conversations were and how prevalent mental health issues were among people his age. So I strongly feel that if I'd acted on those and if I'd had a conversation with him, he would still be here today. And he'd be a 23-year-old getting around talking about how 5 years ago he went through a difficult time, but he told his brother and now things are better. So it's a really hard one. As I say, never feel guilt-free, and I know that anyone touched by suicide won't feel guilt-free, but at the start of my PowerPoint, mental health is everyone's business. We all have a role to play. We've all got to play a small part in a really big problem to get better results.
I love that, man. And but I guess going back to that, you don't know what you don't know.
No, that's right.
And if you've never experienced something like this, if you've had no reference around it, then it's not even in your awareness.
No, that's right. And I'm not telling people, but I was 25 and completely ignorant. I look at stats now, 16 to 24. Huge issues with mental health and suicide and anxiety and depression with young people. I should have known that, and I mean that's what I should have known. No one told me, but now I like to think that I'm the person out there telling people. Those people that are 18, 19, 20 to 25 now who have got younger siblings, younger brothers, younger sisters, telling them now through their workplace or their school that, hey, this is what happened to me. I don't want it to happen to you. So just be conscious of it. I don't expect people to, if their child or their brother or sister doesn't join them for dinner, to go and bunk up and sleep next to them for the next week until they tell them what's wrong. But we need to just have, even if it's 1% more conscious of it, or conscious of the fact that these issues are prevalent and we need to make a difference. So I'm the person these days that I didn't see when I was growing up, and that's hopefully powerful for some people.
Absolutely, I find it incredibly inspiring, mate.
Thank you.
I remember, I've been a tradie myself for a lot of my life, and I used to drive behind utes, and I'd see the sticker on it, and it always intrigued me, and I always used to want to find out more about it. And before I was a tradie, I worked in hospitals. And, I got to see a lot of people at the, who had attempted to take their lives. And it always got my mind wondering, what would drive people to do that? How do people get to that place? And I saw your sticker, and at first I didn't know what it was about. I asked a few people, and they told me, and I was so inspired by it and drawn to it. And it's just so fantastic to have you here now and be having this conversation. So, tell us a bit about the incredible impact you've been able to have.
Well, it's a really hard one to measure. The success. I mean, I put the success down to, that daily, every couple of days, weekly, there's organisations all across Tassie, and even F45 in Kensington, Melbourne at the moment, heard about us and are fundraising, raising money for a marathon they're running on Sunday. More presentation requests are coming through to travel and get out of Tassie and do things because they're seeing the difference that we're making here. I mean, we evaluate our school program and our sport program really heavily, and the results coming back from that are fantastic. That kids young students are feeling more comfortable to talk about their emotions post our session. They feel more comfortable, or they know there's greater help out there. They feel more equipped with the tools to find that help. And thirdly, the other big result we're getting is, they feel more comfortable to help a friend, which is really important, because that stigma is a big player in stopping young people in particular to see a friend struggling and think, oh, I'll ask them, are they okay? Because rather than look at them and judge them and think that they're weird. So those results are great, and obviously, the Education Department have seen that, funding us recently for $1 million over the next 4 years for that.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you for that school program. For me, though, I think it's the... and I get asked that question a lot, how do you know you're having impact? We receive a lot of messages, or, people in the street, people will call and say that, this logo, this organisation has saved their life or saved a family member's life. And that, for me, is really powerful. And we don't always share those things. Sometimes people are happy for us to share those through our social media and whatever to show the impact that we're having. But I know that goes on a lot, and hand on heart know that we get a lot of that feedback. And I know we're not going to save everybody.
Of course,
I absolutely know that. Every mental health issue is different. It's hard. It's a really big, broad, troubling problem that we've got. But I like to think that we're impacting in a big way.
Yeah.
And like you said about the tradies, when I was a tradie, and I'm sure when you were younger, working in that industry, no one came in to talk about mental health, and us blokes struggle to talk. We talk about impact. You see a lot of tradie cars these days getting around with the sticker on the back, and
it's huge.
years ago you wouldn't have seen that happening. So there's big impact that we're having. Like to think we're still having, and obviously we'll have moving forward. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. When is it time for people to actually speak up?
Yeah. So one of the PowerPoints I have towards the end, I share my story and then talk about what is mental health, and I put up the signs and symptoms of depression. Depression, sad, low mood, isolating yourself, and then anxiety, racing heart, feeling sick, the physical signs.
Yes.
And I put them up there to normalise them and to show people that, I don't ask, but I say to everyone in the room, if I asked everyone today to put their hand up if they've experienced some of those signs and symptoms of depression, anxiety in the last couple of weeks, we nearly all put our hand up.
Absolutely.
We're humans. We're not born to not experience those.
Absolutely.
And, as experiencing those builds resilience, keeps us sharp for the next time. When we get through a difficult time, we're bigger and better for the next one.
Yes.
But what we say is if you're experiencing those signs and symptoms of depression, anxiety for around 2 weeks, that's the time frame to stop dealing with them on your own.
Okay.
Like I sit and get a little bit of anxiety before I get up to present to 100 people. But as soon as I'm done, it goes away.
Of course.
If I packed up and walked out and got in my car and I still felt anxious, and then got to the office or went to a meeting and still felt anxious and couldn't sleep that night, I'd need to realise I need to monitor that, and it's time to share it with someone, whether that's a GP or a service provider or a good friend. So 2 weeks is the time frame for people to stop feeling low mood on their own. I heard someone say the other day, that doesn't mean if you felt that for 3 days, look at your watch and go, I've still got 11 days until I have to tell someone. But, and that's easier said than done too, 2 weeks. But I like to think that our organisation is creating conversations from a young age. And so if we do that, less people will get to 30 years of age and then experience signs for 2 weeks, struggle, need medication. The younger we are, the more we build resilience, and normalise it's okay to talk. As we get older, less of us, I honestly believe, will feel like we're struggling and going through a difficult time, because we're just quite simply having open conversations with our friends and our family 24/7.
Yes, very powerful. I love that. And I can totally, I'm just going to back that up and say that, we never just arrive at a particular outcome in life, do we?
No.
I guess. And so everything we achieve or experience is like a combination of so many little decisions, so many little choices we've made.
Yeah.
Above and beyond just speaking up, what else can people do, say, in their home environment or their work environment? What else can people do or put in place to stack things in their favour so they don't find that they're going down that spiral?
Yeah. I think being connected is really important. For young people growing up, but for older people as well. Sadly, there's a lot of mental health issues and suicide in rural signs and symptoms for a longer period of time. So speaking up is great, but I feel that the more we can play sport, keep physically active, but stay connected, stay having those, goes back to those conversations. You're not going to walk into a community group and sit there on your own. There'll be people who will come up and talk to you, and you'll open up to them and share life and talk about things. So, speak, but stay connected. Being connected, really important.
I love it, man. So, and now this question might sort of touch on what you've already covered, but what are the real warning signs people need to look out for? So if we're really to pinpoint some warning signs that someone, might be at a very kind of pivotal point in their life, what are some signs? And let's kind of put an example out there. Say for a parent who's got a teenager who's usually moody. How would that parent actually know when to do something above and beyond and really intervene?
Again, a really complex, and every instance is different when it comes to spotting the signs. A bit about mine, my story, what you just said then, if there's a child that's moody and, they're probably down a lot and, parents are asking them, it's most second most commonly asked question. How do you make someone open up? There's no pill yet that we can give people. We can't tie them to chairs and prod them with sticks to open up. But persistence has to be the key.
Yes.
Being persistent with a young person or any person about, telling them direct, I've noticed you're struggling. I can see that things aren't okay. I saw you did that. I saw you did this. Open up and tell me. So persistence is the key. But, my little brother was a happy-go-lucky guy who smiled, and I put a photo up of him now as part of my PowerPoint to say, people hide behind smiles, and we have to always look out for that. 1%ers for me when I played footy was tackle, shepherd, do all those things for your teammates. I don't play footy anymore, but 1%ers for me now are looking out for those small changes in those around us. Did they walk in without a coffee of a morning when they usually would always have one, or make one straight away? Were they late? Were they super early when they're normally late?
Interesting.
All those things. But it's not always looking out for the low mood and someone depressed or ill mental health. Sometimes people can be low mood, depressed, and all of a sudden be up and about, be friendly, making plans for things, being really happy all of a sudden. So that's what makes it really complex, that it's not always the sad, low mood, keeping to themselves. It can all of a sudden be the opposite, and that's what we need to keep out for. So again, I think it comes back to staying connected and having open conversations, because the more we do that, the more we have the opportunity to notice signs, notice changes. But I can't stress enough, it's very different. And for anyone that listens, that's why it's so important to know someone, isn't it? To get to know them on all these different levels.
Absolutely.
And to not just work with someone or play sport with someone to think I'll just see them on Saturday when we play, or Tuesday, Wednesday when we train. Have coffees with them, communicate during the week, get to know them, because it creates a really big tool and a powerful tool for you to ever ask them or ever notice when they're not okay.
Yeah, so you're, I guess the work you're doing above and beyond just, suicide prevention is actually creating greater community with people and greater connection with people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of surface level kind of chatter that happens.
Yeah.
You really see it, especially as you start to kind of develop and work on yourself. Yeah. And it's amazing how shallow conversations can be.
Yeah, definitely.
And even down to at a checkout, you know, people don't even ask. And I watch people ahead of me. They won't even ask the person how the day's been. No. It's just,
Yeah. It's crazy. And in our school program, when we talk about helping a friend, I say to the students, from the time you wake up, have a bit of brekkie, you get the bus in, parents drop you off, however you get to school, in the first hour you're walking around, finding out what class you got, chatting to your mates. Said, how many times do we say to someone, hey, how you going? And they go, yeah, good, how are you? And you go, yeah, good, thanks. And then you walk off and don't see them for the rest of the day. Yeah. Everyone throws their hand up. We've all had that chat. But then when I ask, how many times did you A, answer honestly, or B, actually listen to how that person answered? Not many hands go up.
Wow.
And that's really powerful, and that's all about, again, connection and having those open and honest conversations, because most of the time people are just going to say, yeah, good.
That's it.
But if you actually said, you know what, I had the worst night ever, and then you stopped in your life for 2 minutes just to sit and hear why they had their worst night ever, could be the difference, and that could be how they unpack it, and then they have a much brighter day. So helping a friend isn't just sitting down with them for half an hour, listening to all their problems, or locking them down saying, what's going on, I've noticed you're different. It's every day. And as you said, having those small moments, and just that extra 1%, that extra 2 seconds to just actually, hang on, he was just off when he said, I'm okay then. I'm going to follow up and find out what's actually going on. So very complex, very, very complex.
Very powerful.
Very powerful, yeah. If we take the time and it gets absorbed in to actually follow those small tips, I think it can make a difference.
Absolutely. And do you find one of the keys is to actually open up yourself first? Is that a big part of it?
Yeah, definitely.
Your guards down?
Yeah, definitely. When I don't run the sessions as much anymore. We have a video on my lived experience that Julia and Kat, who run the program, play at the start to show why not just myself but those guys are passionate about mental health. But I still run sessions now and then, and I'll stand up in front of the 30 kids and say, an hour and a half on mental health, guys. I bet we're all rippingly excited. They'll have a bit of a laugh and then say, look, I know you've probably heard of this logo, you've seen a little bit about it, but then I say to them, when I was your age, no one ever talked to me about this.
Wow.
And then when I left school, 6, 7, 8 years later, my little brother took his life because I just didn't give a shit about this. And I say that to them, and you see them go, okay, I'm going to listen, and so I make myself vulnerable, and then I share my story and tell them all these things about how I wish I'd done differently. And I think that, Yeah, I think the power of lived experience connects through.
Yeah.
You know, the feedback forms are, you know, Mitch's story was powerful, made me open up my eyes. So the next half of the session, where we do helping a friend talk about resilience and staying connected, they absorb it in, I feel, even if it's just that little bit more, because they've seen someone in front of them say, I didn't, and this is sadly what happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speak to that word, like you said, resilience then.
Yeah.
That's something I'm a huge fan of. Like, what's your take on being resilient?
I think it gets thrown around a lot. But I think being staying emotional with yourself, I think builds resilience. You know, being okay to open up and to tell someone things aren't okay. I do that a bit on my socials. You know, we've had a lot going on with work and some changes, and all positive, but high stress. And then this end of the year is big. There's AOK Day, Mental Health Week, World Suicide Prevention Day. There's a lot of big events on. So obviously our organisation is in demand, and you know, I opened up on my socials the other week to say I, you know, broke down a little bit after a talk and realised that, you know, things weren't okay for me. And I think that being able to do that and show emotion, yes, people write on there and show support, and that's amazing, and that was really brilliant. But I think to lead by example as well, but to show people it's all right to show your emotions.
Absolutely.
I let it all out, and I honestly woke up the next day and felt a bit better about myself. Therefore, I feel it made me a bit more of a resilient person. It gets thrown around a lot, and there's a lot of things that make it up. But I think emotion, and then I know I say it a lot, but connectedness. I'm always on the phone. You know, hands free on the way down here this morning. You know, my best mate and I speak every morning. He's in Melbourne. Quick 5 minutes. How are you, mate? What happened last night? Tell each other if something crap has happened. Quick chat about it. Digress. Move on. I stay connected as much as possible, and I think that definitely makes me a more resilient person.
Such a strength.
Yeah.
And people see it, especially a lot of men, I want to say. See that as a weakness. We're not able to have those deep chats, but we all need them, man. Like 100%.
100%.
So for anyone who's watching this and they're actually struggling with the idea of using challenge from their past to actually go out and do more and be more in the world, do you have any tips around how they can adjust their mentality? Like, how did you what was the thinking you were going through to actually say, okay, I'm going to use this, opposed to let it crush me? Yeah.
For me, when I started, and I remember the selling of stickers through like a Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, you know, selling stickers and opening a bank account, and I think the feeling of achievement was what drove me. Like obviously I knew that I wasn't doing this for the benefit of myself because it wasn't going to bring my little brother back.
Yes.
But I think just those, you know, I remember staying up 1, 2, 3 in the morning with my stepmom, you know, counting out stickers, putting them in envelopes, writing on it, you know, sending them out, creating spreadsheets. You know, I'd never done any of that sort of stuff. But the sense of achievement I felt from that just grew and grew, and I'd never felt that before. You know, I'd go to work and put windows in, and you know, you put a nice splashback in and it'd look good, but then the next day, you know, you'd have another 5 to go put in.
That's
and
right,
it's like, you know, as I said, I absolutely admire people that run businesses, but I was never going to run my own business, so for me it was a dead end. You know, I'd put a shower screen in, but I'd have another 3 to put in tomorrow, and 3 the next day. So the sense of achievement I felt with, you know, just simply putting a sticker out there, being able to come up with fresh ideas to write on the Facebook page, it gave me a real sense of achievement, and I didn't leave it at that. You know, it came and it felt strong, but I wanted it to feel stronger, and so I started to network and get out there, and then when I realised it was something special that we created and it was getting traction and people were giving us positive feedback, I wanted to go to another level. You know, public speaking. Can I do public speaking? I did a bit of drama. No, I couldn't, but I put myself out there and I did it and got good feedback again, and then the networking. And so I think, if you get a sense of achievement, even in the smallest amount, you know, if you've got an idea and you get out there one day and you have a chat with someone and they say, that's a great idea, why don't you do this? And that feels good to know that you're on the right track. Wake up and go again and keep coming up with new ideas and networking and listening to what other people have to say. I'm never pig-headed or think that my way is the absolute right way. I will absolutely absorb in information that comes from other people before I make decisions, and I think that that's really important. And I'm seen as a leader in this space, if you like. Or sometimes it doesn't sit that comfortable with me, but I think I'm a leader. But absolutely, the people around me are what's helped us get today, because they've their input and their decision making along with mine is what shaped us to where we are today.
Wow, powerful, man. So for people who might be like super interested in what you do, and who might, you might be sparking some ideas in their own mind of how they could create an organisation like yours, do you have any advice for people around creating an organisation?
Yeah. I think, like, social media is a big thing these days. Like, I mean, I always think, people ask me that question a lot.
Yeah.
Mental health back then, and there wasn't anything. I mean, there was amazing organisations like your Beyond Blue and Lifeline and Rural Alive and Well doing great work. But I think our organisation was able to break into that really important demographic of young people to not see mental health as taboo and uncool, and they're happy to put a sticker on their car or wear a hoodie. So we, Tasmania in particular, kind of needed something like that to break down those barriers. So it's a really, for want of a better word, lucky that I came in at that stage. But it was a really time where mental health and something to break down those barriers was needed. So everything I did kind of was, that's great. Everyone was positive because everyone saw that it was a gap that was missing. My advice, there's a lot of things I can't even remember what I did, except for make calls, mix with all different types of people, absorb people's input, have good people around you, setting it up as a charity. I found friends of friends that were lawyers and accountants, and do everything as professional as you can and be really transparent about the decisions that you're making with those around you as well. So not the greatest advice, because a lot of it's blurry to me, because I
of course,
but just work hard and you'll get there, mate. I certainly had people tell me that going out and talking about suicide was dangerous and not the thing that you should be doing. I had a lot of pushbacks and a lot of people say, but I knew in my heart that that's, if someone stood in front of me and told me a story of loss and grief and sadness because of suicide when I was 18, I would have carried it with me, and I would have looked out and rubbed shoulders with people, in particular my little brother, and assured him it's okay to not be okay. So you're always going to have critics and people say that you can't do it and you won't do it. But if you're passionate about it and you truly believe there's a gap or you can do it, continue to do it, and people will get on board eventually.
I love it, man. I love it. So it really sounds like you were just following your inspiration in every given moment. Like you had another idea, you'd act on it.
Yep.
And that's how you built this organisation.
Yeah.
I'd be right in saying.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an organisation called Livin'. Sam Webb, their founder, they lost a really good friend. It was probably 12 months before I started Stay Chatty, and certainly haven't copied the things they do, but I've been fortunate enough to meet Sam. He spoke at our ball a couple of years ago, and he's a crazy cat. He's out there. He's passionate, and I saw his passion, and even from his social media posts, I just saw that he oozed passion, and he was incredibly positive. And I think that I've carried those things from a guy like him, and people have been able to see that I've carried those into our own organisation.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. Just help me understand here, because Speak Up Stay ChatTY is a non-for-profit.
Yeah.
How do you make an income when you run a non-for-profit? I always get confused.
So I was fortunate that when I started doing this just off my own bat, selling stickers through a bank account we'd opened, I then got approached by Relationships Australia TAS. So I started to just go and do some public speaking and take some time from my glazing to go and do public speaking. We did a statewide event where we ran from Burnie to Hobart with a group of mates. But then, that was all volunteer.
How many kilometres is that?
340 in 4 and a bit days. So that was really what sparked us across Tassie. It was a lot of people heard about us when we did that. But then Relationships Australia TAS got involved and said, we like what you're doing. Would you actually like to come and work? And they paid me a wage. And continue to do so. So, that was again, a lot of people come and say, you started up a not-for-profit. How did you get to where you are now? Purely through a lot of hard work. But we had the backing of a really well-established organisation like Relationships Australia, who have helped us write budgets, helped us to employ staff, gain funding. Without their support, we certainly wouldn't be where we are today. I'd probably be 2 or 3 years behind, but that's nothing to do with the amount of work that we've got out there and done, and the awareness that we've raised. So Relationships Australia have sourced funding to pay me a wage, and the other team that work with us, their wages come out of the funding that we've got for the school program from the Department of Education.
Okay.
And the sporting wages obviously out of the sports program funding that we self-fund ourselves at the moment.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So last time we spoke, you said you were working on a new book.
Yeah.
How's that coming along?
Good. Yeah. I like to think that'll be. I get 45 minutes with people when I share my story, but this for me to be able to sit down and write about me really, and I had some other things and troubles and issues going on around the same time. I lost my brother, and so it's been good to sit and write those, and just basically I like to think people will pick it up, read it, and then feel, I like to say people leave a room from a presentation and feel 1% more empowered. I like to think you'll feel 10, 20, 30% more empowered after reading it, and the impact and the detail I'm able to go into when reading the story. But pretty exciting. There's a lot of exciting things happening, and that's certainly one of them.
Brilliant. How exciting. So now we're going to move into something a little bit more lighthearted.
Yep.
And we're just going to find out some cool facts about Mitch.
Okay.
So, Mitch, what is your favourite hobby?
My favourite hobby? I love music. Yeah, I'm a big music fan. We've actually got a staff conference, Relationships Australia conference coming up, and we're doing TED Talks. And
oh, wow.
The theme is inspired, and I've been asked to do a TED Talk, and I'm just going to talk about how music inspires me. I can always remember stages of my life, from a kid to teenager to certain things in sport to losing my brother to now songs and artists that I've always listened to, and it sounds a bit weird, but music is really, I love learning lyrics of songs and singing, and it helps your mood, and I really love music, so I'll always put a song on, and I'm always teased. My mates used to think that I'd Google the lyrics to songs because I'd learn them so quick, but I actually just pick them up pretty well. Listen, pick up the lyrics, have a good sing along. Wow. And I love walking these days too. Brilliant. I've just most days now 3, 4, 5K walk just to. I used to play on my phone a lot when doing that. I've put that away a little bit. Mainly, got a bit of a bad back, so getting out and walking, fresh air. So walking and music are 2 things that I really enjoy.
I love that, man. 2 powerful practices.
Yeah.
So what has been the biggest perceived failure you've experienced in life that actually turned out to be an absolute blessing?
Oh, perceived failure that turned out to be a blessing. I lived in Melbourne for a year. So when I was about 20, I moved to Melbourne with a partner at the time, and that didn't last long, the relationship, and then shortly after that, I had all my best mates were in Melbourne, and I obviously was going through, struggling a little bit. I'd only been there 8 months. Do I come home? Do I stay? Stay to keep all my friends, or come home to family and go back to my glazing and stuff like that. And I came home, and for the next year after that, I probably thought, I should have stayed. I could have been playing footy with my mates and spending all that time with them and enjoying life in Melbourne, going to the footy. I'd see them doing that, and for me at the time that seemed like I failed there. I wussed out a little bit. I should have just stuck it out, had a good job and stayed there. But then I met my wife now, and her family are a really big thing for me. We're around there 3 or 4 nights a week. She's got younger brothers who I spend a lot of time with and certainly love a lot. So if I'd stayed in Melbourne, I wouldn't have met her, and I wouldn't have the life I have today with them. So
there you go.
I thought about that, and I answered it. So it was definitely at the time I thought, I should have stayed in Melbourne. I would have had more opportunity, more time, more memories with my friends. But coming back allowed me to find her and find a really good life.
That's amazing. I love it. So who is your favourite superhero? And why?
Favourite superhero? I like superheroes, Spider-Man and Superman and all that. I was only talking about it yesterday that I've never really got into a lot of that stuff growing up. I think I'll go back to when I think of a hero or someone I admire, I suppose. Will that fall under that same category?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back to music, and we'll probably cop a bit of bit of slack about it. But Justin Timberlake,
Okay.
not only for his music and his dancing and stuff, but I really admire the way he carries himself in the media. You know, I like other people such as Chris Brown and Michael Jackson and things like that. But you'll only hear positive stuff about Justin Timberlake. You know, good family man, carries himself well, charitable. Will always have time for people, and I really admire that in him. So to call him one of my superheroes is probably a bit lame, but in terms of people I look up to and admire, he'd be one of them. Yeah.
Oh, mate, absolutely. Well, most days my kids are dancing through this lounge room to Justin Timberlake.
There you go, yeah.
No judgment.
Yeah, and it's not like he's as I said, Chris Brown, I like his music and stuff, but in terms of role model and life choices he's made,
that's
probably
right.
not as such. I like to say to people, I like his music, not the artist, but JT's one that big fan of, on a lot of reasons.
I can relate to that. That's excellent. What is a powerful daily habit you have developed that you would encourage other people to start practicing? You already mentioned a few.
Yeah. I think, honestly, going for a walk. We grow up and we're young and we hear people say, take time for yourself, go for a walk. The first 3 or 4 years of me running this charity was absolutely bloody hectic. I went bull at a gate, did as many talks as I could, and finally I've realised that you will burn out because I got close. I had a lot of times where I just like, look, I need some time off to freshen up and rejuvenate and find my feet again. But since this year mainly, I started just finish the day, or I'm not a really good morning person to go for a walk, but in the afternoon, finish work, put the runners on, go for a walk. Honestly, it has brought a lot of benefits. Feel better. The physical side of it is great, but if you do take your phone, make a couple of calls, connect with people. 4 or 5K, 45 minutes, however long it takes you. I would definitely recommend people to get the work gear off, go for a wander.
I love that.
Clear the head.
Mate, exercise is a game changer.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
You've obviously done so much in your life, with this incredible organisation. But out of everything, what are you most proud of in your life so far?
What am I most proud of? I think the awards have been good. I mean, winning personal accolades are good. I think what they have done is give our organisation credibility as well. Like winning those, and there's certainly something I look back on later to think, what we achieved was pretty amazing to receive those awards, and people took note and stood up and thought, this is a real deal organisation that's making a difference. And I'm certainly proud of that. I think probably above that though, the proudest thing would be, that call from the CEO of RA Tas years ago to say, mate, do you want to come in and have a meeting? We've been following you guys on social media and seeing the way you're carrying yourself and what the work you're doing.
Wow. And,
we had 4 or 5 meetings over, 5 or 6 weeks sitting in the office talking about it. But, I was just, as I said, a glazier who didn't like my job much, who had no direction or purpose in life, but drove something to encourage someone of their credibility to take note and want to work with us. And that was, that's something I'll always be really proud of. And, as I said, they've helped us get to where we are today, but it was the runs on the board that I got for them to, this tradie guy rolling in with silicon-covered shorts sitting in their office in Clare Street, and they still took a punt on me, and that's something, I'll forever be really proud of that.
Wow. Goes to show you the level of, inspiration you had for the work you were doing.
Yeah.
They saw through that,
that's right.
that outer.
Yeah.
And they saw what, was really driving you. So
Correct,
it's so powerful.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. What are you most excited about for the immediate future?
I'm excited to travel a lot more. I know that Tassie has a lot of work to go in terms of mental health and suicide prevention, but as I said, we've got a team now, and it's not Mitch reliant as much anymore.
Yes.
The people that work with us are amazing, honestly amazing. We're a great team. They're really passionate, spreading the word. So I'm really excited. I've got a few presentations for the rest of the year interstate. I hope that my 2019 picks up in terms of my speaking, and I'm really excited to travel a lot more and spread the word outside of Tassie. And I like to think that that'll bring us other opportunities. I've always said, and it says on the website, I like to think that we'll be a national organisation one day.
Before we move to the kind of final questions,
I actually want to thank you, Mitch, for the work you do, because, like I said, I've seen people at those extremes of their life where they've lost the will to live, and they've lost any sense of purpose in life. And I see the work you do as truly honourable and noble. So to preserve life, I think it's just the greatest gift you can give people, man. So well done.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Well.
Yeah, it's certainly something I never ever imagined I'd be doing. Again, say that at the start of every talk. I dress a little better now than the little tradie stubbies and blunnies and a ripped t-shirt.
Yes.
Dress a bit different now, travel, but I love working, and I'm only on a journey, and the journey will only continue to grow and head north if people jump on that with us, and they are, and I like to think they will continue to do that, because if they do, we ultimately will save lives and make less people experience the grief and the sadness that too many of us have already.
I love it, man. I love it. And so on that note, how can people best support your organisation moving forward?
Yeah, so through the website, that's a change that we've made and something we've learnt this year. Our website was, you jump on there and it was book a presentation, buy a hoodie, all those sorts of things. But we had a bit of a wake-up call, and we realised that we're out there spreading awareness. People are going to see our logo as a reminder to get help. They're going to jump on our website. We didn't want them to be bombarded with, buy a hoodie or come and have a talk. So we've made our website really resourceful in terms of where to get help and how you can find some support. So by jumping on our website and utilising that helps us, because that's less people that are going to go through a difficult time. But I think, booking our school program, our sport program, me for a presentation helps. We receive donations from a lot of those places we go to, but it's not a necessity. We've reached a stage now where, as I said, the programs are becoming funded. We still need money as an organisation for me to be able to travel and do that work. But the greatest thing you can do is talk about us. Get us out to your workplace, have us spread the message, put a sticker on your car, tell someone about us, share positive moments. But there's a lot of things you can do to support Stay Chatty. But I've always said, it doesn't have to be us. Get a Beyond Blue speaker in. I know a lot of great people down here who are training up to be Beyond Blue speakers. And Lifeline. So anything mental health benefits us, because at the end of the day, we're all on this journey together.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
I love it. And so for our final question, I'd like you to share with us, say at the end of your life, very end of your life, 3 things you would have had to have achieved to look back on your life and say, I lived a full and epic life and I made a positive difference. What would be 3 things you would have had to have done?
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
To know that.
This is one thing I'm not good at. A lot of people, when we have our ball every year, I get up and say a few words, and it's I've started doing a blog, and the other day I wrote, it was the ball time in August is the only time I stop and reflect. I rarely think too far ahead, and I rarely think about things that have been done in the past. I want to be a father. I got married, so I think that will be an achievement outside of the organisation.
Amazing.
I went to the wrestling on the weekend with my father-in-law and my little brother-in-laws to watch the WWE in Melbourne, and I text my wife on the way out. I saw so many dads walking out, holding hands with their little son, leaving the wrestling, and I've always wanted to be a dad, but you obviously know how good that feeling is, and that will be a big achievement for me to be able to do that, and to be a good dad and raise positive, healthy, well-managed children. Good manners is a big thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I'll work in Stay Chatty forever. I've done 500 or 600 presentations now, and whilst I love doing it and I still feel the emotion and feel connected to it, I don't want to do that forever. I like to think that the legacy will be that I started something that is a national organisation that continues to grow. So I like to think I'll look back and I'm sitting on the board of it, and people are out there still spreading the message that it's okay, and that will give me a real sense of achievement. So the ongoing success of the charity is one. Having children is another, and I think the third thing, as many people as I meet, I like to think that they will slightly be inspired by that. I like to look back and think that people I bumped into or people I connect or shook hands with or met will, I'll always be remembered as someone that got out there and made a difference. And even when I'm long gone in 100 years' time, I'm just a young guy in Tassie out there spreading the message. But if I can look back and people can see Mitch McPherson as someone who, through tragedy, made a positive, and that makes them get off their bum and make a difference, then I'll certainly get fulfillment out of that and feel pretty good about myself. I'm sure there's plenty more things that I want to achieve and in life, but I think those three make me feel pretty good about myself.
Powerful ambitions.
Thank you.
Mitch McPherson.
Thanks, mate.
So much,
Great to be here. Thanks a lot.
on.
Cheers.
There you have it, my friends. Mitch McPherson. As you can see, he's just having such an amazing impact. He's an incredibly humble guy, but the work he's doing is just changing so many lives. And so I would encourage every single one of you to get behind Mitch's mission by going to speakupstaychatty.com.au and supporting Mitch in the amazing work he is doing. So guys, if you have got value from this interview, then please do us a huge favor and like this interview. Share it out with your friends, share it out with people so we can have a greater impact together. And let us know your greatest takeaways, what you learned from this interview, any new insights you have. We would love to know. So again, like, share, and get behind our work by leaving a comment. Let us know what you learned. I am so excited to be sharing a ton more great guest interviews with you in the near future. So stay tuned for that. My name's Nash Mackey. It's been a pleasure having your company again. And until next time,